Hello everybody, we are here with your GEB support guide. So we'll be grabbing that Guardian's Blessing as you do on support. GEB is a little interesting. He has a pretty hard early game right now. In the laning phase, obviously depending on who you're going against. Looks like this game we're going to be against a Kumbhakarna Shibalanke, and I'm either paired up with an Woojer or a Kronos. GEB's lane clear isn't what it used to be, which isn't horrible for him. So I'm actually going to go an upgraded Shell because I'm not confident. So I am with a Kronos, it's Woojer mid. I'm not super confident that we're going to be able to out-clear them or even go for fights if we could out-clear. So I'm going to grab a ranked up Shell early. I shouldn't have too many mana problems as long as I conserve a little bit. So I've got my 4 health pots, my Hand of the Gods, and a ranked up Shell just to make sure that we are extra safe in this lane. For our first ability, I'm just going to go ahead and grab my 2, which is Shockwave. Shockwave is a cone-based knockup, and it does more damage the closer the target is to GEB. So the closer they are to standing to you, the more damage that they take. The farther they are away, they'll still get knocked up. So you can like walk those minions to Shibalanke. They still all get knocked up, which is great. But they take reduced damage all the way down to at max range. It only does 50% damage. So this is a notable lane clear ability for you. We have a really good Discordia rotation right now. I don't know if we're going to be able to kill everybody. But you want to walk up right to one of the sections of creeps. Go ahead and knock them up. And it'll interrupt the wave a little bit too, because when the wave gets interrupted, they start auto-attacking. And that's really nice. And so it does, you know, provide that little interruption effect. GEB's passive is very straightforward. And also quite good in this meta, especially as you get into the mid and late game. GEB does not take full damage from crit. Instead of taking that full crit bonus damage, GEB only takes an increase. We can actually bait this. Oh, I might die for this, but we're gonna be able to get a kill, so that's gonna be worth. So instead of taking that max damage, critical strike bonus taken is decreased by 75% against GEB. So you're getting very, very little bonus damage with a crit build against GEB, which is nice because crit's quite popular in the meta. You might see junglers with crit like Mercury. You might see hunters in the mid lane and the duo lane all running crit. So he is really good against those physical hunters. He's not so good against like the souls and stuff because they don't build the crit. The ability that we get at level 2, which is our movement ability, is our 1. This is called Rollout. Rollout also has a similar damage feature to the 2. So you start moving with your rollout and you slowly increase your movement speed. And after a small bit of time, you will reach maximum movement speed and you will also gain CC immunity. Now, before you get that CC immunity, before you reach that maximum speed, if you hit a target with this ability, you will slow them. So they will be slowed by 30%. And if you reach your CC immune stage, not only is this that slow, but it is also a very, very large knockback in the direction that you hit somebody. So if I roll out into the jungle hill to build up my movement speed and I run back in and I hit the Kumba, you can see I knock them all the way back towards that wall. So GEB does have 2 knockups in his kit with that. The ability that we get there at level 3 is our shield, and probably the ability that GEB was most noted for. This is a shield that you can use on yourself or others. It has the automatic targeter. So you have to be a little careful with this ability. Just so you know, the way that the targeter works is it's just the person like closest to the center of this targeter, which means that if you're trying to like use it on a person right next to you, and then you're like they run right into you, sometimes you try to use it on somebody else and it ends up going on you. It gets a little funky when you're right both there in the middle, so just be a little bit aware of that. But this is going to provide a shield to your target. So the shield goes up with every level that you get, plus every point that you put into it. And the most important use of this ability, it is also a cleanse. So just like the way that Hal 2 will cleanse CC, you can also cleanse CC with a GEB shield. So if my Chronos gets rooted by Kumba, if I throw this shield on him, he is no longer rooted by Kumba. It is just like a purification beat. Keep in mind that this does not stop things like executions, with the one notable execution that it does stop being Ao Kuang. So somebody like a Thanatos, if they're in execution range and I throw down a shield, shields don't stop executions, it doesn't matter. The one exception is Ao Kuang, because Ao Kuang has a stun right before his execution. And so if they're in that little grabby animation, you can actually GEB shield them out of that. And finally, we have our ultimate, Cataclysm. This is a large circle around GEB's body. It has a small little animation. And then after that animation, you get absolutely plowed by a Thanatos. No, after that animation, I am about to get dove all the way at my Phoenix line. I'm gonna pop a shell here just to be safe. And then I'm gonna pop a shield, and I'm gonna OffDay, and I'm gonna knock up because I'm getting dove back to my Phoenix. That's okay, another kill for GEB. So you actually got to see it in action right there. He was just trying to help us see the ultimate in action. So what you're gonna do is this is around your circle. Around your body, big circle, it is going to do percent HP damage. So it does a percent of their current health, not maximum health. Way back in the day, this actually used to be percent of maximum health, and believe it or not, it was completely busted. So now it is percent of current health. So if they've got full 100% HP, then congrats. It does 15% of all of their HP. If they're at 10% HP, then it's only gonna do 15% of that 10%. And on top of that, it is going to be a stun. That stun ranks up starting at 1.6 and goes up to a full 2-second stun. On our build so far, you can see that we've gotten cooldown boots. We're gonna be investing heavily into cooldown on GEB because of how well it works with his CC and his shield. Cooldown is crucial on GEB, but as per usual on our supports, we are going to get our Gauntlet of Thebes second. Gauntlet of Thebes, simply too good to pass up. You can see right there that I almost made a mistake. So one common mistake that you see on GEB players, wow, is getting Thanatos ulted on cooldown. Is when you use your one and you get into that CC immune stage, that is a really far knockback. And oftentimes you'll knock back enemies away from your team and actually cost your team a kill. So if you're about to knock back somebody, you can right click and cancel out of the one. Sometimes you want to just use your one to get in range of a target without actually knocking them back. If it's before the knockback stage, if it's in this non-CC immune stage, then you'll just stop when you hit them and it'll slow them. That's totally fine. Just be careful about knocking away the enemy, particularly enemy squishies. Sometimes you're better off just canceling out of the one and then using your knockup or your ultimate. So our ability leveling order on GEB was 2, 1, 3. That is what we got it at level 1, 2, and 3. But as far as maxing our abilities, we are going to max out 4, 2, 3, 1 is going to be the level order for us on GEB. We're going to get our ultimate whenever we can. We're going to get our 2 max up first for the damage, then our 3 for the shield, and finally our 1. You can see I used my shield right there just on myself in order to get that CC immune effect, or excuse me, that purification beads effect, so that I could get out of that Kumba root. I'm gonna use my 1 to get a little bit closer to this Janus. I'm gonna stop it and then use my knockup because I didn't want to dive into that tower. Didn't want to put myself in a bad spot. I'm gonna use my ulti right here on this Thana, preemptively shield myself just in case he's gonna go for a scythe on my face. And then I'm gonna use my 1 to try and waddle away from the Coup. Not gonna be able to though, because he's gonna rage. So we're gonna keep working into our Gauntlet of Thieves. After our Gauntlet of Thebes, I'm going to go right into a Pridvin. I love early Pridvin on GEB. It's going to give you that little shield on yourself. You get 20% more CDR, so we'll have 30% CDR, which is going to give us a bunch of shields for everybody else, and so much CC from our ulti 1 and 2. I pretty much run this build all the time on GEB. The one exception I would say is sometimes I get a Relic Dagger 3rd and then Pridvin 4th. But for the most part, I would say Pridvin 3rd, Relic Dagger 4th. That way we'll have that max 40% CDR and we'll get extra low cooldowns on our actives, which is important because our second active that we're going to get at level 12 is going to be Blink for our GEB initiations. So, standard support action. After you get that Guardian's Blessing stacked over in duo, you pretty much just rotate to mid and you're standing around mid trying to keep your mid laner alive. For me, this game, that is Woojer. I'm kind of just watching around him, keeping an eye out in case I need to shell him or shield him or peel for him, while just building slowly up my Gauntlet of Thebes stacks. Janus' ultimate is down and his portal is down, so I'm gonna run at him over here. I don't think we're gonna be able to kill him, so I'm not gonna invest too much right there. Keeping an eye on Brecky, he's gonna be in trouble. I'm gonna ulti right here and to peel and throw my shield down on him while we couldn't see anything, just to try and keep him alive. Unfortunately, after that Kumbhakarna ult, a Thanatos rotated that way as well, and then a Shibalaga. That's actually 4 people in the mid lane, so not gonna be able to live through that. That is a good Chronos ultimate though, should help him get out of that one. So now I'm gonna start working on this Pridvin as soon as I get enough money for it, and we're gonna be running right back to the old mid lane. If they start gold, that could be bad for them. Chronos is at full HP and Gold Fury is pretty tanky right now. He might be able to get him off it or even grab himself a couple of kills over there. So my main focus on GEB right now is peeling duty. If I'm going to initiate, it's going to be initiating by using my 1 to get myself in range of a target, and then canceling out of it and using my ulti and my 2.
Your right tower is under attack.
My initiation on GEB is going to get a lot easier once I get Blink online. Because then it's just a real simple Blink ulti, followed up with the knockup, and then use your 1 to try to get out of the situation so you can get back in peel for your team. One thing I see GEB players do is they ulti and then immediately knock up. After you ulti, unless you can get the kill. If you can get the kill with an immediate knockup, go for the kill always, especially if it's on a squishy. If you can get one of their big damagers offline. But your stun lasts for upwards of 2 seconds. You can really maximize that CC duration by ulting. Maybe you get an auto attack, or maybe you shield a teammate, maybe you use your 1 to get some bonus damage off, maybe you go ulti, auto, 1, and then knock up. That's going to give you a lot longer CC duration. You're getting closer to that maximum 2-second ulti stun, and then getting to utilize the knockup from your 2 instead of like instantly ulting knockup, where you're only getting like a 0.5-second stun and then the knockup, and you're really not combining these CCs to their maximum efficiency. So you want to make sure that you're holding just a little bit, and in that case as well, if you're holding a little bit and they use their beads, then congrats, now you've got your knockup still after they beads, so you didn't waste 2 forms of CC, you only used 1. Looked like my Woojer was gonna take some poke right there, so I threw down a shield on him just so he would take a little bit less damage. I hear a Thanatos going in for him, so I'm gonna try to ulti back to him. Unfortunately, it just wasn't quick enough. I'm waiting to 3 myself right there until after the Kumakarna rooted me. So I could have shielded. I heard the Kumakarna channeling his root, right? And I could have gone ahead and used my shield immediately, but what I did was I waited for my I waited to be affected by the CC. If I use the GEB shield before the root, then I'll be rooted for the full duration. If I use the GEB shield after the CC, then it will get rid of the CC, purifying it away. You have to use the GEB shield after the CC in order to get rid of it. So now we're going to get that Pridvin almost online, making sure that I'm buying sentry wards on every back. Sometimes a sentry ward and a regular ward, but most importantly, just getting ourselves that sentry in every back to provide some vision for the team.
Your middle tower is under attack.
So for matchups that are good against GEB, GEB loves going against gods that are going to build crit. That is really where GEB thrives. If you're trying to counterpick with GEB, you're either looking for yourself personally to go against gods with crit. So the Mercuries of the world, the Hunters of the world, anybody that's going to be grabbing themselves that rage, that Deathbringer, GEB really, really does thrive in those situations. What you don't want to go against on GEB standardly is really heavy magic damage. Really heavy magic damage tends to do well against GEB. He does so well against those physical characters with the anti-crit. He tends to have a harder time with the Souls, Chronoses, Freyas of the world. He still does pretty good against Oleron because Oleron's large part of his damage is based off of his passive crit. So you actually do pretty well on GEB versus the Oleron, so I don't mind that matchup at all. In the laning phase on GEB, you're very, very, very rarely gonna win the lane pressure unless you've got like a crazy strong hunter clear like an Izanami or something. You're almost always gonna lose the lane clear. That's fine. Just accept that you're gonna lose the lane clear and get ready for the mid-game team fights where you thrive. Throwing down a shield right there onto my Chronos after he got Kumakarna ultied. I gotta be a little bit careful here for myself. I'm gonna try to just one me out of this. Now that they've got some of those abilities down, I'm gonna back it up quickly. Try to go get myself a Pridvin and another Sentry Ward as well as a Blink. Gonna use my 1 to try to rotate back to its gold. It's gonna be gone by the time I get there, but maybe we can do some sort of cleanup fight. Nice steal. Not sure who stole that Chronos or Woojer, but that was a good Gold Fury steal. They might come to steal our red buff, so I'm just gonna sit right here. Woojer might actually go to gank Woojer mid. He's going to. So I'm gonna try to counter gank his gank. I'm gonna use my 1, get around him over here. Not gonna knock him back. I'm just gonna go right into my ulti, into a little knockup. Hit him with that sweet combo. Throw down a little shield for my Woojer. Keep chasing on the Thana. Blink 1, and that will be able to pick him up in the back line. Now I run back to my Woojer to make sure that he is gonna be okay through this. So one thing I could have done a little bit better right there was I could have waited a little bit longer on my knockup. I thought my Blink knockup was going to kill the Thanatos with the Woojer combo, and it just barely left him with 1 HP. If I would have known that would have left him with 1 HP, then I would have blinked, auto attacked, chilled out for a second, then knocked up. So I would have gotten a longer CC time, which would have allowed Woojer to get in an extra auto attack, which would have killed Thana. It ended up being fine, but that's the type of situation that you're looking to just hold out a little bit longer on that knockup. I'm gonna go throw down a sentry ward on the fire really quick. They got a bunch of people mid, and we do not have a tower. One thing you can use GEB shield for as well is auto attack canceling. The only time this ever really comes into effect is what you just saw. So they had a ward placed down, and I wanted to clear it really quick. So watch me right now. We're gonna clear this, but if you auto attack 3 auto attack, it is an auto attack cancel effect. So you will be able to get that auto off a lot faster. Throwing down my shell, throwing down my ulti, just trying to peel for AMA as long as I can. That's beats and Aegis on Janice. That's a dead boy right there. Looking back at my AMA to make sure she lives. Gonna throw down another shield for him while I'm trying to get myself back into this fight, just trying to bait out some abilities. I don't want to back. I want to stay around for the boys in case they need me, in case they need a shield. So I'm just going to try to stand back a little bit, not play that front line right now. Just be a little bit safer. All right. Actually, doing the actual fire giant is not a bad idea at all, because we have an AMA Chronos Woojer. We've got so much damage. So I'm going to save my shield, and I'm going to save my abilities. As far as objective secure, GEB is actually not horrible for Guardian objective secure with that knockup. Not a bad ability at all. Gonna unmez my Chronos right there by giving him a shield. Woo, I'm gonna ult the Shiba Longa, follow it up with the knockup. So right there, that was the don't wait on the stun duration, right? So right there, we had 5 people. We're gonna burn down this Shiba Longa super quick. I ulti, I immediately go into the knockup just to provide as much damage as humanly possible. I'm not concerned about him living through the CC. I'm just concerned about him maybe popping beads and being able to get away. So ulti, boom, right into the knockup compared to earlier with the Thanatos, where I should have waited a little bit more. So now I'm gonna get the Relic Dagger. Relic Dagger is so good. Looking at their team comp, they're running physical, magical, physical. They got triple physical, double magical right now. So I'm gonna get myself a sovereignty. Gonna provide out some more protections for the team. Give myself some more protections and HP. I've got 40% CDR with the Relic Dagger cooldown boots Pridvin, and I've got a bunch of extra cooldown now on my actives, 40 seconds minus cooldown from that Relic Dagger, so I can blink initiate more often, as well as shell more for my team. And now my abilities are down as low as 9-second cooldown, 10-second. It's really, really good considering how strong GEB's abilities are. We might as well go shove left lane at this point. I'm going to dive in for the Shiba Longa. I presume he's going to dash. He does. I messed up that just a little bit right there. It's going to be okay. I'm going to shield myself to throw down an ulti over here. Trying to keep my eyes out hard with that Shiba Longa ult. Luckily, he got stunned in the middle of my knockup. Right there was a good example of knocking somebody away when I should have canceled my one. Trying to get to my Woojer in the backline. I'm going to throw him down a shield over the wall just to give him more HP. So GEB's shield has a lot of uses. Sometimes you're using it to get somebody out of a CC effect. Sometimes you are using it to prevent somebody from taking a bunch of damage. Sometimes you're using it just to discourage somebody from going on a target. It's got a lot of uses, and you'll get better at seeing all of those different situations as you play GEB more. Like right now, I can just throw down a shield on the target tanking the Gold Fury. Of course, he resets the Gold Fury right as I do that, but just make sure that the target tanking the Gold Fury doesn't take any damage. I want to show you the auto attack reset just real quick. So auto, I'm autoing, auto, shield, auto. You can see how fast that next auto attack gets out. The only time you really use that on GEB, like I said, is when you are taking care of wards. Sometimes you get yourself in a little ward battle, and that extra, you know, little half second of avoided auto attack time could be the difference between you slaying their sentry ward and not getting it. So I got the sovereignty online. I'm gonna get my blink ranked up, and I'm not gonna get rid of that Guardian's Blessing quite yet. I want to keep using that Guardian's Blessing for the increased gold per 5 right now, before I sell it to get another item. So I ranked up that blink to give a little bit of mitigations as I blink ulti into a fight. So GEB's abilities do actually go through walls. So you can't roll out through a wall, obviously, because it is basically a dash, but the rest of his abilities do. I can use my 2 through a wall and get somebody. If my ultimate has enough to go around a wall, it will get somebody. And you can, of course, shield over a wall as well in order to save your teammates. So most of his abilities are able to go through walls. So right now, I know that Xbalanque doesn't have any actives up, so I ulti him right there. You can see how long I was waiting on the knockback. I didn't even use it right there because I was trying to maximize my CC in order to get my teammates there in time to kill him. 1, 2, 3, bam. Get rid of that ward ASAP by abusing that little auto attack cancel. So our fire giant is about to run out. There's no reason for us to go for this Phoenix, so I'm going to call it off and tell us to go back for the fire giant. We got Xbalanque dead. Janus ultimate is down. We should be able to just burn a fire giant pretty quick. And if they come to contest this, we can absolutely gank this. So I'm going to start my rollout into a wall so I can build up the CC immunity and get myself closer to this Janus. And now I'm just going to kind of cut off this direction for him. Make sure he can't go this way. Keeping eyes on my Woojer in the back line just in case he ends up needing me. Canceling out. Following it up with the knockup because there's the beads coming out. Throwing down my shield on Woojer just because I'm about to be walking away. And he might have been getting dove. I'm going to blink in front of this Janus. Try to body block him a little bit. Oh, not quite going to be enough. Tanking that Xbalanque to the face and now trying to get over to my team over on right side. We might be able to grab this Phoenix before we go to fire. So I'm going to throw down this shield on myself. I'm throwing down a shell in the back line. Still tanking, still tanking. Gonna just use this to make me a harder target to hit. And then I'm going to reset this to somebody else on our team. It went to Woojer, which is kind of a bummer of a target. But I'm going to give him a shield right as he comes out of that Janus ability. And we might actually be able to end the game off of this just from this little kind of sneaky play. Throw down my shield once again onto the most forward target. Keep our eyes open for any respawns, and that is how we're going to be able to get the Titan. So, GEB struggles in the early game. He struggles a lot, particularly the first 10 minutes of the game. Once you start transferring into those team fights, you get to start hitting 2-3 targets with your ultimate, follow it up with the knockup, keep your boys alive with the shield and the shells. That's when GEB really starts to thrive. Make sure on your build, you're focusing on protections and cooldowns. So I love the Pridvin and the Relic Dagger. You can get other items to get that, you know, cooldown. You could go like a Spirit Robe, something like that can be good. But I would really focus on getting 40% CDR quick. Almost always include that Relic Dagger though, because getting that lowered cooldown for your actives is really gonna help. Especially because oftentimes on GEB, you end up being the sole initiation on your team. So you've got to use the blink in order to get into the team fight because you don't have like a traditional leap ability like a Bacchus flop or something. So make sure you get that blink as one of your 2 actives. And that is our GEB guide.